Hello everyone. Today we talk about the Restoration and the Augustan Age. The Restoration goes from the 1660 to 1714, while the Augustan Age goes from 1714 to 1760. The term Restoration refers to Charles II's reign that, after his exile in France, was restored to the throne, along with the reintroduction of the Commonwealth and the previous system of government, while the title of the Augustan period refers to similarities between England at this time and Rome during the reign of Caesar Augustus, from 63 before Christ to 14 Anno Domini. In fact, it was a remarkable period for the literary production of great poets like Ovid, Virgil, and Horace. But let's focus on the literary context. Prose in the Restoration period concentrated mainly on philosophy and religion. In fact, the aim was to collect knowledge which could be useful for the public good and expressed in a plain, linear, and realistic style. And also, during the Augustan Age, also called the Enlightenment or the Age of Reason, an intellectual spirit was spreading through Europe, reflecting on a new way of thinking in scientific and philosophical fields. Therefore, rational and clear methods became accepted as superior to the traditional and received knowledge. Focusing on the Augustan Age, this period saw an increase in prose writing of every genre, from journalism to essays, from political writings to novels. There were several factors that contributed to this. First and foremost was the rise in a new reading public. The middle class provided a readership for these new forms of literature. They also wanted to improve their education, and finally, printing technology was becoming more refined, and as a consequence, these helped give rise to circulating libraries where people could borrow books, newspapers, and magazines freely. The economic and cultural heart of England was obviously London. Between 1660 and 1780, it maintained a growing reputation as an important centre for literature, offering great social and intellectual opportunities. The first London coffee house opened in 1652, and they became the meeting places for politicians, merchants, people of fashion, clergymen, and lawyers, where they could exchange opinions and do business transactions. Journalism was also very important. The number of newspapers on sale grew quickly, and they were very often influenced by political parties, and periodicals were also very popular. Then we arrive to the rise of the novel. The novel, that is a word that derives from the Italian novella, dating back to the 14th century, is a long prose narrative. The rise of this literary genre was connected to the rise of the middle class. In fact, the new readers wanted to read about themselves, their world, and their environment. An example can be seen in the novel Robinson Crusoe. Here, the characters that appeared in the literary works of the past were mainly kings, princes, and nobles. In contrast, in Robinson Crusoe and him, the protagonist, came from a middle-class family. So, what are the general features of the novel? It aimed at providing the reader with a greater understanding of reality, so imitating life became a central theme. We could find everyday settings and situations, and the characters were ordinary people. The social, cultural, and moral conditions of the times formed the background to these writings, while the language became simple and factual, almost journalistic in style. In fact, Daniel Defoe, who is regarded as the founder of the novel, also worked as a journalist. And now, we can introduce the 5 great novelists of that century. Daniel Defoe, Jonathan Swift, Samuel Richardson, Henry Fielding, and Lawrence Sterne. Daniel Defoe is generally considered the creator of realist fiction in the 18th century. His most famous work is obviously Robinson Crusoe. Then we have Jonathan Swift, that used satire and humor to criticize the political situation in England. His best-known novel is Gulliver's Travels. Samuel Richardson, in his most famous novel, Pamela, mirrors the everyday life of the main character, but in a fictional setting. Then we have Henry Fielding, who was famous for his humor and satire. In Tom Jones, we can find many features of the picaresque novel, like its length, its intrigue, fights, and amorous adventures. Finally, we have Lawrence Sterne. In Tristram Shandy, he experimented and had a strong influence on the future development of the novel.